HQ presents Christmas Hope for the Steel Girls by Michelle Rawlins, read by Laura Brydon. Chapter 1. Sunday, 15th of October, 1939. As they sat on their favourite park bench, their hands entwined, Betty wrapped up in her brown tweed winter coat, the chilly autumnal air that was a sharp reminder winter was on its way biting at her flushed cheeks. She felt the happiest she had in weeks.
"I'm so sorry my letters never arrived,"
William said, turning to face his young sweetheart.
"I promise I wrote whenever I could, only missing the odd night when I was so exhausted after training that I fell into bed, unable to keep my eyes open a minute longer."
"It's me who should be saying sorry," Betty smiled weakly, feeling guilty about how she'd dug in her heels and stopped writing to William after she hadn't heard from him for several weeks. "I feel embarrassed and annoyed at myself for ever doubting you. I should be utterly ashamed of myself. I just got scared you had forgotten about me."
"Oh, my lovely sweet Bet, please never think that. But it's understandable. What in heaven's name were you supposed to think when not one of my many letters arrived? I assure you, though, there's nothing in the world that would stop me thinking about you, not even Hitler himself. It's the thought of seeing you again that gets me through each day."
Betty squeezed William's hand a little tighter. Over the last few weeks she had been on a roller-coaster ride of emotions. After her beloved William had left their home city of Sheffield to start his RAF training to become a fighter pilot, nearly 30 miles away at the other side of Doncaster, she'd worried non-stop. If being terrified her first and only true love of her life would be in danger once he took to the skies in one of those gravity-defying monstrosities wasn't enough, Betty had tormented herself with ideas that William had forgotten about her when his normally frequent and cheery letters stopped dropping through the letterbox. She'd spent weeks hardly sleeping, staring at the ceiling, convincing herself William's new life had opened his eyes to a different and exciting world, one that didn't include herself. In the meantime, Betty had tried to keep her mind busy by working at Vickers, the steel factory where she had taken a job as one of their first female crane drivers 2 months earlier, and for a while it had worked. After one of her colleagues, Patty, had fallen from a ladder, leaving her off her feet for a couple of weeks, in her normal, pragmatic way, Betty had sprung into action. Without Patty's wage coming in, money would be tight for her parents, who had 5 hungry children, including Patty, to feed. So she'd set up a new care club, organising a whip round and using the money to buy meat and groceries for the family. Helping the Andrews family had got her thinking about what else she could do. There had to be some positives come from this war, and it was nice to be able to do your bit and help those in need. Although Hitler and his mammoth army of sinister-looking troops hadn't invaded England yet, Betty wasn't naive enough to think they had got off lightly. The power-hungry dictator had already marched his soldiers through Czechoslovakia and Poland, obliterating towns and cities, leaving countless fatalities in his wake. No one knew how and when this war would end, but Betty was determined not to sit back and to do anything she could to make a difference, however small. All this had certainly helped keep her mind busy, but she'd still spent countless hours fretting about her William, who she had been courting for over 2 years now. Before Neville Chamberlain had made his monumental announcement to the country that England was now at war with Germany, he'd shared his dream of soaring across the skies in a Spitfire and becoming, in his words, the greatest pilot the RAF had seen. Then, last night, just when Betty thought she couldn't cope a moment longer with the torment of it all, William had surprised her in the most unexpected...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?